Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that isn't the most glamorous but is so essential, having an emergency fund. Yup, that's right. I'm talking about that little stash of cash, tucked away just in case life decides to throw a curveball. Maybe you're already on top of this, or maybe you've heard of an emergency fund but aren't sure why you actually need one, or even how to start. But trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to want to make having an emergency fund one of your top financial priorities. So, let's get into it. Why do you need an emergency fund? Alright, first things first, life is unpredictable. And I don't mean that in a philosophical way. I'm talking about real-world, practical unpredictability. Think about this. Your car breaks down, you suddenly need a new roof, or, fingers crossed this doesn't happen, you lose your job. In moments like these, an emergency fund can be the one thing standing between you and financial disaster. It's like having a personal financial safety net, ready to catch you when you need it most. And here's a pretty surprising fact. According to studies, a huge number of people don't even have $400 saved for an emergency. That means that if something unexpected happens, they're either forced to borrow money, go into debt, or put it on a credit card. And honestly, if you've ever had to put a big unexpected expense on a credit card, you know how quickly that can become a nightmare. So, reason number one you need an emergency fund is to avoid falling into debt when the unexpected happens. A lot of times, people don't realize that by simply having a couple of $1,000s saved up, they can avoid tons of stress and, more importantly, avoid paying a crazy amount of interest. Credit card debt can add up fast. So instead of falling into debt, having an emergency fund gives you control over the situation. Alright, reason number two, an emergency fund gives you peace of mind. And I don't know about you, but peace of mind is one of the most underrated things in the world. When you know you've got some money set aside for the unknown, you just feel more secure. Think about it. You're not lying awake at night stressing over what could happen, or constantly worried that one unexpected expense is going to throw off your whole budget. You have peace of mind knowing that whatever happens, you've got it covered. It's a huge mental benefit that just makes life better. Now, let's talk about flexibility. This is reason number three. When you have an emergency fund, it gives you the freedom to make better choices. Picture this, you're unhappy at work. Maybe your job is stressing you out, and you'd love to quit, but you can't because you need the paycheck. With an emergency fund, you have more flexibility. You can afford to take a step back, regroup, maybe even look for a better job without feeling trapped. It's like having a bit of a cushion so you can make choices that are right for you, not just the choices that pay the bills. Alright, so now you're probably wondering, how much should I actually save? The general rule of thumb is to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up. This might sound like a lot, especially if you're just starting out, but don't let that number intimidate you. Start small. Even having $500 or $1,000 saved up can make a massive difference. So here's what I recommend. Start by calculating what your essential monthly expenses are. This means the stuff you absolutely have to pay for, like rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, car payments, that kind of thing. Multiply that by 3 to get a starting point. And then set small savings goals to work your way up. Maybe you aim to save $50 or $100 a month. Over time, that amount will grow, and before you know it, you'll have a solid emergency fund in place. Now, let's get into where to keep your emergency fund. This is super important. You don't want it in your checking account where you might be tempted to spend it. Instead, put it in a separate high-yield savings account. You want it to be easily accessible if you need it but not too accessible. That way, it's safe and earning a bit of interest on the side. So, just to recap, an emergency fund is essential because it keeps you out of debt, gives you peace of mind, and allows you the flexibility to make choices that suit you, not just your financial obligations. And look, I know it can be hard to set money aside, especially when there are so many other things we want to spend on. But think of it like this, your emergency fund is an investment in your future peace of mind and financial security. It's something you do for your future self so that, if things go sideways, you're prepared. Alright, that's all for today. I hope this gave you some clarity and motivation to start or keep building your emergency fund. If you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, Hit that subscribe button for more tips on managing your finances. Drop a comment below if you have any questions about building an emergency fund or if you have other financial tips you'd like to share with everyone. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care and start saving.